back there, and he's in chilly, cold New York, so he'll get a chance to participate also indirectly. And without further ado, I want to introduce my sister Nancy, who has a little thing she wants to share with you.
I am also very thankful for everybody coming and supporting us today. As we looked over some of the family mementos, I found this New Testament that was given to my father by his mother when he went off to serve in the Navy. And I'm going to read a couple of little prayers that my grandmother teach to her son as he was leaving. To Melvin from Mother. May God bless and keep you dear from all harm and danger, and bring you safely back to be the same dear boy you are today. That's the mother's prayer. And then she wrote the prayer of protection. The God of light surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. And the presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is with you.
Melvin L. Clayton. What's the L stand for? I figure Grandma picked it from the word loving, which I think was probably his greatest attribute, was his loving nature. What else can we say about my dad? Well, I've listed a few things, what kind of a man he was. First off, he was a very hip man. If you ever came to our house, he'd be in the den listening to his big band music. Woody Herman, Betty Goodman. I know one of his favorite songs, we had a CD we played in the car sometimes, and I'd hear him singing it. It's called Ugly Child. Some of the verses went like this. Hey, you're ugly, oh so ugly. You're some ugly child. The clothes you wear are not in style. You look like an ape even every time you smile. And you can imagine as we're driving along, an Ugly Child came on, and I'd hear him singing the words to this. He was also a very intelligent man, up until the very end when he had Alzheimer's and dementia. I remember, I think Karsten Parker were over, and I think I asked him, what the heck does calculus mean? And he starts rattling off what calculus meant. I had no idea. And we never needed a dictionary in the house. Dad was our dictionary. He was a very strong man. I remember when I was a kid, watching him for about 15 or 20 minutes, he finally did it, ripping a phone book in half. And we're talking about the olden days. The phone books were nice and thick. And I was just sitting there in awe as he started and started. The next thing I know, the sucker was ripped in half. He was a very thorough man. If you knew him, everything had to be done a certain way. He checked and double-checked when they built the house. I remember being out on the property with him, surveying, and then afterwards, he made a little model of the plot of land with some styrofoam and clay and had each of the little lumps on it. So he was very thorough in everything he did. Very dapper man. The reason I say that is, if you were ever in our house Christmas time, he'd be wearing his vest and his Bah Humbug socks. And every time we had something going on during the winter, he'd have his socks and his vest on. He was also a trendsetter in clothing styles. This is what we used to call Melvin. When I go off to work in the morning, sometimes Karen would say, "Hey Ron, your pants are Melvin," and that was one of his styles. So he was also quite a trendsetter. He was a very cordial man, and you would know that every time you visited the house. We used to laugh about it. He would start wringing his hands. He'd come out what can I get you to drink? What can I fix for you? What can I get you to drink? It wasn't, go grab something. It was always station himself, wring his hand. What can I make you to drink? He was a very cautious man, and I knew this firsthand because anytime I wanted to do something, it was, whoa, hold on a minute here. Let's check on this first. So if I wanted to buy a car, well, wait just a second here. Let's check into this. No matter what it was, he was very cautious, and it seemed to especially take effect when I asked him, can I go buy this or do that? By the same token, I knew that the other thing as far as him being a very practical man. Very practical man. I remember once I wanted my car to be louder. I had a little Chevy Vega. It wasn't loud enough for me. So I ordered some cutouts, which are some things that actually bypass your muffler and make your car outrageously sounding. And the package arrived, and much to my dismay, he was there when the package arrived. What's this, Ron? Oh, well, needless to say, the cutouts never got out of the box, and they were sent directly back to J.C. Whitman. So, very practical man. Very continental man. We'd go to Anthony's. Get me a Rob Roy with a twist. Rob Roy with a twist. Of course, later on, he always wanted his martinis. Not a vodka martini. Had to be a gin martini. 2 ice cubes and an olive. And later on in years, he had some problems with his digestive system and his food intake, and he couldn't really have it all. So he'd have to just deal with the 2 ice cubes, and sometimes he would pout a little bit because he wanted that olive too. He was a very tricky man. I remember when I was probably 4 or 5, I'm guessing at the ages, Christmas time, he'd tell Nancy and I, well, I'm going to go out and see if I can find Santa, see where he is right now. Sure enough, Santa would arrive while my dad was out looking for him. Before you knew it, Santa would give us our presents and do his thing. And then my dad would walk in, when I miss Santa, I'm going to find him. So one time I got a little bit wise to his tricks. I'm thinking, so I put a little crayon mark on his shoe. Went into the closet, put a crayon mark in his shoe, and sure enough, Santa arrived with the same crayon mark on his shoe. I didn't want to spoil it for Nance. She was 17 at the time. I kept it to myself. He was a very affectionate man. You know that if you ever came over or saw him, always hugging. Even if he didn't know you. Could be an elevator full of strangers. Can I give you a hug? Every time we missed or left the doctor's office, the nurse, can I give you a hug? Very affectionate man. Very understanding man. Like I said, he had the situation with his dietary restrictions later on in life. And he was supposed to have basically a pureed diet. But he would ask my mom sometimes, can I have how about a slice of cheese? Can I have a slice of cheese? And Mom would have to say, no, remember about your diet, you really can't have that. And he usually went along, okay, I understand, that's right, I forget, okay, I understand. He was a very sneaky man. Mom would hear some rustling in the kitchen and come out, and he's eating something. Melvin, you didn't have any cheese? Oh, no, dear, no, I didn't have any cheese. Later on, she'd go into the kitchen and find a wrapper of cheese behind the toaster. So he was a very sneaky man, too. And lastly, he was very childlike. He loved going into the hospital 3 or 4 times a year for his endoscopy and getting his warm blankies and being poured over by the nurses. And I was fortunate enough, having lived at the house, to also hear my mom waking him up in the morning. She would walk into the bedroom, and I'd hear this Melvino. What a way to wake up, rather than an alarm. And she'd go up to him, Melvino, and he would say, look, angels, I hear angels. Where are these angels come? Where's my angel is here. So I was very fortunate to hear that every morning when she would wake him up. I guess you could say he was my ward cleaver. Always focused on supporting me and making me become a better man, showing me the right direction. Sorry, Nance, I guess that makes me Wally and you the Beav.
Pretty accurate.
And of course, Mom was always our June cleaver. Always kept things running smoothly, and I appreciate all that she did for us when we were younger, as well as how she took care of my dad in those final months. I'm going to miss a lot about my dad, but I know he's up in heaven now, reading the Sunday comics, doing the little puzzles that are inside, and I'm sure he's got a smirk on his face because the Bruins beat the Trojans the last 3 years, including last Saturday, so I'm sure he's happy about that. And I also know he's probably a little frustrated up there because Mom's not there to make his sandwiches, do the dusting of the shelves and what have you. Who knows what the place looks like up there. I'm sure he's hired somebody to clean it up. But I know that he's waiting till the rest of us all find it's time for us to move on. And he'll be up at the pearly gates when we go up there. And he'll have his arms outstretched. And he'll use his favorite saying. He'll shout it out to us. Thanks God we're home.